Yo, what is good, everybody? I am back. This is your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me. And I'm back. This is What If Tanjiro Was One Punch Man. Now, I want to say this before I start. Yeah, I took a bit of a break. Like I said, I got sick. I came back for one video, and then I was like, oh my goodness. I'm still a little bit under the weather. I still kind of am a tiny bit under the weather. But this is more allergies than anything. But the other one was definitely me just being sick. Now, with that said, I want to get back to daily uploads. So I'm going to try my absolute hardest from November 1st to the end of November, which I'm going to be honest, I don't know how many days are in November, but to the end of November to give you guys daily uploads. Not sure if it's going to be only Tanjiro. Might just be only Tanjiro. We'll see. It's kind of the easiest thing to do for me personally, but yeah, I have some other ideas that I possibly could get into. But no, it's not. It's really all I got to say. It's probably going to be a shorter video, maybe than usual. But I hope you guys enjoy nonetheless, and I hope you guys enjoy, and I want to get right into it, so let's get it. The early parts of Demon Slayer go basically exactly the same. Now, not much changes all the way up until he meets with Giyu Tomioka, but there's an argument to be made that he gets a little bit more information on some ideas of actually training. Now, with that said, there's not much there for him necessarily. So he kind of just goes through the motions with his whole family, with what happens with Nezuko, what happens against Giyu Tomioka, and eventually when he starts training with Urokodaki. And when he starts training with Urokodaki is where things actually start changing pretty drastically. And the reason why things start changing is because Tanjiro believes he needs even more training. He needs to push himself even further than he does normally. So he starts adding some things to his own training regimen, making it so that he actually does 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every single day throughout the entirety of this time that he is working with Urokodaki. And it's for quite a while. So he trains with Urokodaki and adds this kind of regimen to it as well. And when he does, he starts feeling himself getting way stronger, like drastically stronger. But here's the thing. He doesn't feel this way until the very end of his training, where he's training with Sabito and Makomo to cut in half this giant boulder. And when he cuts that boulder in half, he feels this power surge within him that it's like it's something that he's never felt before. And when he looks back at the boulder, he doesn't just cut it in half, he shattered the boulder into pieces. And he shows Urokodaki this, and Urokodaki is legitimately in shock, thinking that whatever this kid did, whatever he's been doing to push himself to absolute new heights and new limits, has helped him to a drastic degree and will most likely help him beyond anything people can truly comprehend. And well, let's just say Tanjiro would then head off to the the very first actual true final selection type of training that he goes through to be a Demon Slayer. He goes off to the final selection, he goes within it, and the first demons he faces off with, I mean, they are nothing. Tanjiro legitimately just straight up slices them in half so easily, and he feels like there's nothing to it. Like there is very little strength needed to slice these demons in half. And this is kind of the reality for most of this kind of final selection, leading him to actually facing off with the hand demon. But this time around, he would show his capabilities in a different way. And the way he would show his capabilities is because he would drop his sword on accident, losing it, and in one last-ditch effort would throw a punch at the hand demon. And when he does throw that punch, the punch would connect and the hand demon would pop like a balloon. Tanjiro would be in shock thinking, what did he just do? Like seriously, what did he just do? I mean, he knew that he had one hell of a swing in terms of the sword, but that's even stronger than basically he was when utilizing the sword. And he realizes that his punches, his fists themselves, are beyond anything that he could even comprehend, and he begins absolutely blowing up every demon that is around. Every demon that is in the final selection would get legitimately one-tapped by Tanjiro. He'd punch them, knocking them clean gone, like obliterating them into little pieces, so much so that they cannot regenerate from it, at least not where they are, right? Unable to regenerate like at all, while where they are at currently is like an obvious thing. But in terms of fighting demons and killing them outside of the final selection, he's gonna need to figure that out with his kind of fist that he wants to use, which is kind of funny because he's been training with a sword for so long, but he realizes that he should utilize water breathing basically through the act of actually using his fists. And that right there is something he brings up to Urokodaki after getting his kind of his first like Nichiren ore and stuff like that. And they send off kind of to get a blade, but instead of a blade, they actually want to get him like some sort of gauntlets to an extent. Now, these gauntlets aren't anything insane, right? They're not crazy, not crazy, not insane, nothing too like out there, right? In terms of like fisticuffs and all that. Like, you're not gonna have blades at the end of it. It's just straight up like Nichiren gauntlets that are pretty small, like kind of like gloves in a way. So kind of like Nichiren gloves, and that's kind of what they are. And Tanjiro is like, well, this feels perfect for me. And Urokodaki questions it, like, are you sure? Like, we could get you a sword. Like, are you sure about this? And Tanjiro's like, yes, trust me. This, I just know it. I know this is the best way for me. And I'll still utilize your teachings the best I possibly can, just in my own brand new way. In which Urokodaki's like, okay, if you say so. In which they do see that the Nichiren gloves, or kind of gauntlets, turn a black color, which definitely makes Urokodaki a little uneasy, believing that maybe Tanjiro is destined to fail, and the last thing what he would want is another one of his students to fall victim to the demons. But he tells Tanjiro to be aware at all times, take care of his sister, but also take care of himself, and basically Urokodaki tells him that if he needs help or he needs training, he needs anything, come back to him and he'll do what he can. Tanjiro nods his head and he heads off, telling Urokodaki that he will not let him down ever. And he leaves and he goes to his first mission, which would be against the Swamp Demon. But the Swamp Demon, yeah, he would be like, showing up out of nowhere to steal like a woman, right? To do what he normally has been doing, taking women from the village. But what he has no idea is that who he's facing is beyond his comprehension. Who he's facing is not like the other demon slayers. Initially, he's thinking, he's just some normal dude. What is he doing, right? It's just some normal guy, some normal dude. Like, what even is this? Like, are you looking to die? Like, do you have a death wish? In which Tanjiro tells him, like, look, man, I don't have no death wish. But at the same time, you got to understand that what you're doing here is disgusting. It's horrible. You're destroying families, and you're going to have to pay for it. And you're going to have to pay for it now. In which he's like laughing at him like, yeah, sure. I'm going to pay for it. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay for whatever, yada, yada, yada. And before you know it, Tanjiro put a fist to the face of the Swamp Demon, Nezuko not even having to come out of the box, and his head would go clean off his body, obliterating, and he would go immediately just poof into like basically ashes, or kind of like, burn away via the Nichiren blade, or the Nichiren kind of gauntlet that Tanjiro has, in which immediately, like, it's pretty shocking, and even everybody inside their houses hear the big boom, right? The big kind of punch. And when people come out, Tanjiro tells them that they're now safe, right? That yes, the people they lost, they're gonna be gone, and they are gone, but they are now safe from the horrible demon that was stalking them for so long. And they're grateful, but they're still having to mourn for their loved ones that they lost, and they're still very sad. But they try to give Tanjiro something, give him a gift of some sort, but Tanjiro refuses and tells him that he doesn't do this for gifts, money, or anything like that. He does it so that he can hopefully keep people safe. and avoid them from, being hurt in some sort of way. And this would lead Tanjiro to eventually going to the city that never sleeps. And this would be his first interaction with Muzan Kibutsuji. Now, this interaction would be interesting for Muzan, because he would look at Tanjiro, and yes, he would see Yorichi in some sort of way, but you would also see the gauntlets that are on the hands of Tanjiro, wondering why. Why would he have something like that? And what's the point, right? Like, he has no sword. Like, what does he expect to do? In which Tanjiro would tell Muzan that one day, may not be tomorrow, it may not be in a month, it may not be in a year, but before you know it, he'll be knocking on the door, and he will get revenge for his family and revenge for his sister that he did this to in the first place. And Muzan, well, he hears this and he's annoyed. I mean, this wannabe demon slayer, person that's not even that strong, blah, blah, blah. He's basically saying like he's gonna kill him. Yeah, sure. That's what's gonna happen. And Muzan is mad about this. I mean, he's like, I hate when like these people that are basically losers, that they're nothing, they're this, they're that. They think they're so good, they think they're so cool, whatever, and they think they're stronger than people that are peak form, truly, right? Peak, more than obviously not human, but peak demon form in Muzan. And it's disgusting that he would even step up to me, and that's what Muzan's thinking. So he turns a demon, and turns one into a demon. Tanjiro defends against the demon, doesn't kill the demon actually, but defends against him just to keep people safe, not wanting to scar everybody by just punching a guy straight in the face and ending him. So he kind of just defends, and then eventually the demon would be subdued, and Tanjiro would have his first meeting with Yushiro and Lere Tameya. They would speak about what's going on. They would even talk about Tanjiro's like little gauntlets and stuff like that. But also what a conversation would lead to kind of figuring out the whole Nezuko situation, what's going to happen with that, and how they're basically going to cure her and stuff like that. And the whole thing is get the blood of the 12 Kizuki, and eventually there would be a ball that would come through the house itself, but Tanjiro would not hesitate. I mean, he would be on edge already because he's thinking, I want to take down Muzan. I want to get rid of him for good. So when the ball would come soaring through, he would punch it, obliterate it, meet the two demons outside, and end them like almost instantaneously. And I'll just say this, a lot of other people, like, they're watching, they're like, this, or, well, Yushiro and Lere Tameya, they're watching and they're thinking, what the hell? Like, this is insane. Did he just punch them and they died? In which they ask him like how'd he do that? Like, I don't get it. Like, explain, please. In which he would explain it. He would tell them, like, he doesn't use a sword. He found himself to be physically strong via his fists, and he felt like it was doing a disservice to the gifted power that he was granted to not utilize his fists. So they have some sort of Nichiren type of fisticuffs type of thing, right? That allow him to punch with, allow him to punch with the, with Nichiren. And this right here is shocking to them. They're like, wow, okay, so that's something. I mean, did not think that was going to be a thing. But on top of that, they're like, all right, well, that's pretty awesome. But also, like, what? Like, I'm confused. Like, if you can do that, why not just take out someone like, like Muzan or something like that? And Lere Tameya would chime in and basically say, well, there's a good chance that it's never going to be that simple in terms of taking out, taking out Muzan. Because Muzan has developed and has transcended beyond your typical demon, like way beyond your typical demon. So there's a good chance that it wouldn't be that simple and could break out into a fight that nobody wants in the midst of a lot of different people. In which that would make sense, right? They would have a whole conversation about Nezuko, and it would lead them to just telling them, like, look, get the blood of the 12 Kizuki, make sure that you can get that blood so you don't, just instantly kill everything or, like, get rid of them entirely. So make sure to gather it up, and then hopefully they can find a cure for his sister, and they will work very diligently about it, And this would lead to Tanjiro heading off to his next mission. Now, he would run into Zenitsu. Zenitsu would be crying about, this and that, about, not wanting to die before he's married. Tanjiro drags him away, and they head to the mansion. Now, the mansion itself would be a breeze. Tanjiro would struggle a little bit with the movement issues with Kyogai, but Tanjiro would be like, all right, I'm done with this. And he would immediately just punch the head off of Kyogai and would make sure to take the blood before, anything happens. And let's just say Inosuke would drop in and see this entire thing happen and challenge Tanjiro immediately. Tanjiro tells him, that's not what you want. Like, you don't want to do this, trust me. In which Inosuke would run at him, and Tanjiro would literally just like sidestep and just kick him away, being that he's way faster and way stronger than Inosuke. And he has to hold back to like the most insane degree so he doesn't just obliterate Inosuke on the spot. But he does shatter a rib or two, and Inosuke is like, what the hell is going, like, what was that? Right? And they kill the rest of the demons in the mansion, save the brother for the little kids, and obviously they head out. But of course, the conversation about Nezuko would still happen, and Inosuke would be basically told like, nah, that's my sister, stay away from her, don't hurt her, blah blah blah, she's good. And that whole thing happens, and then eventually they would team up, have a little bit of a break, like at a nearby house, but eventually would head up to Mount Natagumo, where they would meet up and see actually a ton of demon slayers that are actually being puppeted. So they try their best to save as many as they can as possible. And Tanjiro begins basically bolting through this entire forest, just slaying the demons. And as he's doing this, it's definitely giving him flashbacks to the kind of final selection. And he knows that there is no stopping. Like, he has to make sure that they all are gone. And unfortunately, the mother spider demon doesn't get her soft, end. She gets absolutely torched because Tanjiro's not thinking about, making people feel less hurt and stuff. And she ended a lot of demon slayers. So Tanjiro's able to save quite a few of them by just blitzing everything, punching and one punching, right? Literally, all these demons, except for Rui, leaving Rui being the only demon that is left over. And Tanjiro stands toe-to-toe with him, but he knows that he has to be careful because he's never taken real damage. That's one thing he's never really done, is taken real damage against, a foe of some sorts. He hasn't really taken a hit or anything along those lines. So he has to be careful because he's sending these strings out, and he believes like if he's not careful and he gets hit, it could actually hurt him. And he tries to avoid them, tries to utilize water breathing to its most degree, do as much as he possibly can. But eventually, it seems as if his body would acclimate, and when he would do his next punch, punching through the strings and Rui's blood demon art, we would then basically unlock a version of, or his own version of, the Hinokami Kagura. And as he would do this, the strings would burn away and would be obliterated, and Rui would be in shock. All he can see is the nameless swordsman once again. He sees Yorichi in front of him through the memories of Muzan, and Rui can't even move. And one blazing punch, would send him straight to the afterlife, and Rui would be just taken out for good. And as this occurs, well, Giyu would show up and he would see Tanjiro, and he would be in shock. He'd be like, wow, he just did that. I don't know what happened to you, kid. I don't know what happened at all. But whatever did happen, I'm glad it did. Because Tanjiro just makes quick work of a member of the 12 Kizuki. And yes, it is a lower member, but it is a member of the 12 Kizuki. And basically proves to Giyu that he is Hashira level, if not even, higher than that. And at the end of the day, it seems as if the other demon slayers that show up, Kanao and Shinobu, would actually come to slay Nezuko as well, but Tanjiro would defend her and defend Nezuko as much as he possibly can, even not getting knocked out by Kanao, defending against her as well, just throwing hands while she's basically slinging her sword around, trying to basically get rid of him. in which Tanjiro is able to fend her off, not get hurt himself, but also not hurt her at all. And eventually it's stopped by the crows. The crows telling everybody that, that Ubuyashiki, excuse me, has told them to bring Tanjiro and Nezuko alive to the Butterfly Mansion, in which that's exactly what they do. They bring Tanjiro over there with Nezuko. The whole idea, the headquarters, they talk about, all this stuff. They're trialed by the Hashira, in which Tanjiro basically tells them, like, he let them cuff him, like, he let him, kind of tie him up with rope. Like, he could break out of this if he wants to, and he wants them to understand that, like, to take a chill pill, like, you don't have to do anything too drastic. And eventually the Wind Hashira would do something drastic, and he would legitimately cut into Nezuko's box, and this would make Tanjiro pissed. Tanjiro would break free of the ropes instantly and go to basically punch him, in which Tanjiro would stop right in front of the Wind Hashira, sending him flying. And Tanjiro would tell him that if he decided to connect with that punch, he would no longer be living, in which he doesn't want to do that. He never will do that, but don't ever touch a loved one of his ever again. In which Ubuyashiki would arrive and would agree with this premise, saying that they are not to touch Nezuko or Tanjiro, and they are to basically allow them to become demon slayers via, the idea of Ubuyashiki, or of, Urokodaki, and also Giyu, and obviously Tanjiro putting their lives up on the line for her. In which Ubuyashiki also brings up the fact that Tanjiro's potential, his power, is kind of unbeknownst to them. Like, they don't really know it. They don't understand it. So having that on their side is something that they should really be thinking hard about, because if you try to make him an enemy, it's not going to go very well. In which Giyu would even nod his head to this idea, and Ubuyashiki would tell them to understand this to be the right thing to do, even though a lot of them disagree with it. And Tanjiro says that if they disagree with it, that's fine, but to understand that if they have an issue with it, don't take it up with his sister that is never going to hurt a human. Take it up with him. In which a lot of them would be in shock to hear this, but Tanjiro looks dead serious, and Ubuyashiki tells them that that will not be an issue, correct? In which they agree, it won't be an issue, and he would tell them that Tanjiro's on the fast track to taking, his spot as a Hashira, but at the same time tells them that because of this incident, he won't be instated a Hashira right here and right now, but don't be surprised if he's climbs the ranks before you know it and stands side by side with every single one of you. In which a lot of them are shocked to hear this, but that is the truth. And Tanjiro begins his rehabilitation training, all this stuff to prepare himself, and it just makes him even more powerful than he already is, making this eventual Mugen Train trip to basically take down Enmu and take down the demon at the train like 10 times easier, because Tanjiro, or maybe even like 1,000 times easier, really, and because Tanjiro just obliterates the front of this train, just destroying and ending Enmu in a matter of seconds. And on top of that, when Akaza would eventually arrive, Akaza would be going to take out Tanjiro, but Tanjiro would not have fear when facing off with someone like this. The battle is pretty freaking insane. Tanjiro unable to actually land a hit on Akaza, at least for the brief moment, being that Akaza is able to kind of sense his intent. But the thing is, Akaza can't just dodge forever, because Rengoku is also clashing with him, and the speed that both of them have collectively is almost overwhelming. So when he focuses on Tanjiro to make sure he doesn't get hit by him, because he can feel the intent of the punches, he realizes that Rengoku has openings, and Rengoku slices him and even almost slices his neck off, and Akaza begins to feel like he is falling behind, and before you know it, that would 100% be the case. Rengoku would basically slice toward the neck of Akaza, and Tanjiro would punch towards the stomach of Akaza, and it seems like when he goes to block, his body would react to basically the punch over the slice from Rengoku. But when the slice comes down and it slices through half the neck of Akaza, Tanjiro would press against Akaza and immediately push him towards the end of the sword, and it would slice the neck off of Akaza, and both Tanjiro and Rengoku would look at him in shock. But as basically the body of Akaza would stand back up, Tanjiro would not hesitate at all. He would immediately go for another punch, going to punch as hard as he possibly can to obliterate any last little bit of him he possibly can, and he begins fighting, absolutely fighting all out with the body of Akaza. But eventually the end would be near, and Akaza would be defeated right here and right now, and the crows would sound, saying that the Upper Moon 3, was defeated by Tanjiro Kamado and Rengoku, and everybody is in shock. Muzan is also livid, thinking that one of his best, if not the best person, most loyal person to him, has somehow been defeated by some useless demon slayers, and he can't even believe that this happened. It makes no sense. It can't be happening. How does this even, he can't fathom it. And at the end of the day, that's what happened. Tanjiro and Rengoku defeated Akaza, and essentially this would definitely put Tanjiro in a spot as a Hashira himself, and he would begin to basically go on various missions that other Hashira would go on, and basically would allow him to absolutely slay a large amount of demons. And the demon slayers essentially get literally get another Hashira, at least in terms of capabilities, in terms of being able to execute high ranking missions and so on and so forth, do as much as he possibly can. And he helps out quite a bit in terms of what he can do, especially because his power is ridiculous. I mean, he gets done with missions in a matter of whatever the travel time is. How long it takes to travel there, he basically is done with that mission very, very quickly. And this would lead Tanjiro to have a pretty heavy impact on the whole grand scheme of things in terms of demons. And eventually, when he's out on that final mission, somebody would show their face, believing that the only true way to get the job done is to do it yourself. And Tanjiro would be face to face once again for the second time with Muzan Kibutsuji. And a fight would break out between the two of them, and a fight would not stop. Tanjiro would land punches that would clean the head off of Muzan entirely, but Muzan would be able to regenerate it and continue fighting. But Tanjiro would continue opening the bag of tricks involving sun breathing, continuously pushing his abilities as a sun breather further and further and further. And this fight destroys villages all around the certain area. And Muzan believes that right now and right here is where things can truly change forever. Because if he defeats this person, this whatever this person truly is, whatever Tanjiro Kamado is, if he defeats him, then he can truly push himself beyond everything. He can allow himself to be different, push the boundaries of being a demon, and then eventually allow him to become immortal, because he believes that there is something within Tanjiro or the Kamado bloodline that will allow him to become the immortal monster he seeks out so greatly. And let's just say many Hashira, many demon slayers are converging on this area, but this area, well, it's not that easy to get to, because the fight itself continues to move and move and move. And let's just say this as a fact, because at the end of the day, it seems like Muzan wants it to be this way. He doesn't want any of the other demon slayers being involved, and if they even get close, the other demons that are of higher rank also show their face, and are basically, they are forced to fight those demons as well. Your Domas, your Kokoshibos, and so many more, seemingly blocking them out for good, trying to stop them and halt them entirely, or at least make sure that they don't interfere with the fight with Muzan and Tanjiro. But eventually, they will come to a realization that the sun is coming up sooner than they thought, and Muzan seems to not be getting rid of Tanjiro as easily as he thought he would in the first place. And before you know it, Tanjiro would feel the sun beginning to hit his skin, and as he feels this, he knows that soon the end will be near, and Tanjiro continues the onslaught on Muzan Kibutsuji, and eventually the sun would rise, and Muzan would try to cower, run, and hide away, but Tanjiro refuses to relent, and with one final punch, there is no regeneration that could truly save him, and with one final punch, the obliteration of Muzan Kibutsuji would ensue, and he would drop to the ground, burn up, and so, well, the rest of the demons, they would follow suit sooner than you could imagine, because Tanjiro not only would awaken powers beyond his comprehension, aka the Demon Slayer mark, but it allows the other Demon Slayers to awaken it as well, allowing them to clean up the rest of the demons that could still ensue in this world, being that of Kokoshibo, Doma, Gyoko, Hantengu, and you know, whoever else is still left over on the outside of Muzan. And with that being said, it seems as if these demons, well, at the end of the day, without their leader, without their head honcho, without the king that they have been serving alive, well, and still pushing, there's only one way out of this situation, and that is to the afterlife, allowing for this universe, allowing for the world that they live in, and future generations alike, to live in a peaceful world, in a world that has no demons. And with that said, that is the end of this What If. The What If of What If Tanjiro was One Punch Man. Now, with that said, if you guys enjoyed, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And yeah, that's really all I got to say. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.